Last week in Detroit's Silverdome, a Chicago-based flight crew strapped on helmet and goggles, then flew off to prove that the Bears now have a passing game to go along with Walter Payton. A trade with the high-flying Dallas Cowboys had provided a wide receiver with long-distance experience, number 83, Golden Richards. Richards caught on quickly against the Lions. Then quarterback Bob Avellini, number 7, opened up the offense even more with a 40-yard fly pattern to streaking James Scott. As it turned out, the Chicago aerial show provided more than enough support for a defense that was running shuttle relays into the Detroit backfield all afternoon. Lion quarterbacks were sacked 6 times, including one in no man's land by former San Francisco rushman Tommy Hart. The safety patted out a 19-0 shellacking of Detroit that kept the surprising Bears undefeated and gave new Lion head coach Monty Clark those same old Central Division "I can't win for losing" blues. No such worries out in Los Angeles, however, where the Rams have been west coasting as usual in their division. But last week, a visitor from outside the division dropped by to offer a bit more of a challenge. The world champion Dallas Cowboys were in town with rave reviews from their first 2 wins of the season. Quarterback Roger Staubach lived up to his advance notices by hitting Billy Joe Dupree and Tony Hill with touchdown passes, and the Dallas Doomsday defense was looking nothing but deadly. But each time Dallas knocked the Rams down, tiny Pat Hayden, number 11, got right back up and found a way to even the score. Ron Jesse's acrobatic end zone catch seemed out of character for the normally pedestrian Rams. But then Hayden became even more provocative with a rainmaker to Willie Miller, a Vietnam veteran from Colorado State who can go deep. Miller's 43-yard touchdown gave Los Angeles the lead, and Ram cornerback Rod Perry was happy to match it with a 43-yard interception return of a Staubach sideline pass to clinch the win. The invincible visitors from Dallas had fallen 27-14 in a surprising victory that had even the normally blasé Los Angeles fans up out of their seats. Of course, back east in New York, they make a big production number out of everything, including 2 straight wins by the Jets. The reason for the resurgence was quarterback Richard Todd, a young man who drops back without limping, stands tall in the pocket, and throws tracer bullets to sure-handed receivers like Derek Gaffney. Facing the Jets last week were the pesky Seattle Seahawks, that nuisance of an expansion team that scares the bejabbers out of everybody they play. It's tough to still call the Seahawks an expansion team when they can field talent like reserve running back David Sims, number 35, who pounded out 121 yards and 3 touchdowns in the Shea Stadium Dust Bowl. But the most devastating play to the Jets took place on 4th down late in the game and was good for only 5 yards. Instead of going for a sure field goal and a 3-point lead, Seahawk quarterback Jim Zorn gambled and won. Zorn's first down led to a touchdown as Seattle held on for a 24-17 victory over New York, and one more step toward dropping that expansion tag for good. It's unfortunate there is a newspaper strike in New York City. For only 7 miles west of Manhattan in the Jersey Meadowlands, a big story is brewing. It appears the New York Giants have made a major discovery. They have finally found a long-missing offense that can put points on the scoreboard and a quarterback who can move the ball through the air. Jersey Joe Pisarcik beat the Kansas City Chiefs by hitting 15 of 25 and 2 first-quarter touchdowns. Last year, the Giants began the season with 3 quarterbacks, and incredibly, all were rookies. Pisarcik emerged as the starter, but out of necessity, Coach John McVay kept the attack conservative, and the Giants seldom passed. Now bristling with confidence, Pisarcik no longer operates under tight reins. 2 weeks ago, the Giants rang up 343 yards and 24 points against world champion Dallas. Last week, Pisarcik and friends scored 26 more against the Chiefs. New York's real strength under McVay is a tough defensive unit. But last week, KC's wing T offense again was a lethal weapon on the ground, ripping off over 200 yards rushing for the 3rd straight game. Again, the spark plug was number 32, Torrid Tony Reed, who danced through the Giants to the tune of 114 yards. Reed was too quick for everyone, even outstepping his shoes, but his was a Cinderella story. For though the second-year blossoming star had himself a ball, his team was able to score only 10 points and lost to the surprising New York Giants 26-10. In Miami, Bill quarterback Joe Ferguson exploded a 92-yard touchdown bomb in the face of the Dolphin defense. Frank Lewis's long-distance score was one of 3 Buffalo touchdowns, but unfortunately for the Bills, Miami had 4. Quarterback Don Strock, subbing for Bob Greasy and improving weekly, threw just enough to keep Buffalo off balance, while the Dolphins' setbacks ran rampant, totaling 275 yards against the beleaguered Bill defense. Number 27, Gary Davis, buried Buffalo with the 65-yard touchdown run. But Miami's rushing leader was Delvin Williams, who racked up 125 yards as Miami won its home opener, defeating winless Buffalo for the 17th consecutive time. More importantly, the Dolphins kept pace with the Jets in the AFC Eastern Division. In Atlanta, most of the cheers are reserved for a defense which last year set a modern NFL record for fewest points allowed in a season. But last week against Cleveland, it was the Browns' defense which was dominant. With number 1 weapon Greg Pruitt out of the entire game with a leg injury, quarterback Brian Sipe continually took to the air, riddling the Falcons' fine defense by completing 20 passes for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. A measure of Sipe's performance is that the Browns scored 24 points against Atlanta, equaling the full total of the Falcons' previous 2 opponents, the Oilers and Rams. For Sam Ratigliano's surging Browns, it was a 3rd straight win, their best start in 15 years. No one in football awaits game day as eagerly as Philadelphia Eagle head coach Dick Vermeil. Against New Orleans in the Superdome last Sunday, Vermeil was especially anxious for his secondary to vindicate itself after a poor showing in Washington. However, Saints quarterback Archie Manning made sure that this never did happen. While the Eagle defense showed a weakness against the long ball, Philadelphia's offense discovered a strength that has yet to be fully utilized. It's called the forward pass. Five times 6'8" Harold Carmichael stretched skyward to retrieve Ron Jaworski's spirals, and twice he scored touchdowns. Saint cornerbacks were 6 inches too short and 2 strides too late. Yet New Orleans' most frustrating play occurred when it seemed as though they had everyone covered at the goal. Somehow, Philly tight end Keith Krepley came up with one of those plays which happens purely by chance rather than design, something another angle confirmed. Such folly will not be found in the regimented Eagles playbook, but it proved to be the difference in a 24-17 Philadelphia win. As kings of the hill in the American Football Conference, the Denver Broncos are finding that each Sunday's race is a challenge, because every opponent, like the San Diego Chargers, seem to have their best efforts saved for the defending champions. In Mile High Stadium last week, rookie wide receiver John Jefferson put the Chargers ahead in the second quarter, and the stubborn San Diego defense did their fair share to make the lead last. But as so often happens, the Broncos switched from stationary Craig Morton to a more agile Norris Weiss, number 14, and Denver's offense came alive. Trailing by a single point with barely 3 minutes remaining, the Broncos came up with the one big effort that constantly seems to separate winners from losers. Tiny number 80 Rick Upchurch saved the day in Denver, and after 75 yards, the Broncos finally were able to breathe a deep sigh of relief. A final touchdown closed out a 27-14 victory as Denver gave another AFC Western Division foe a lesson in the art of winning. The Pittsburgh Steelers are rediscovering just how fun football can be, and this was evident last week when they had a good time making the Cincinnati Bengals feel bad. The Bengals never scored a touchdown all day long, as the steel curtain constantly flew to the ball as if it were magnetized. With proven veterans and young and coming stars like rookie cornerback Ron Johnson, number 29, and third-year tight end Benny Cunningham, the Steelers dominated every facet of play, including luck. In the end, however, it was the Steelers who made their own breaks with crisp and sure execution that brought the Bengals down hard, 28-3. At game's end, it was difficult to determine whether the Steelers were thinking of their past glories or their present ones. Whichever, there is no question Pittsburgh is back. Green Bay's renewed love affair with its football team suffered a minor setback last Sunday, for despite improvement, there still appear to be a few kinks left in the system. Against Oakland, the young Packers experienced the kind of day their fans have grown accustomed to in recent years. It was not a very good one. Troubled by his team's inability to complete a pass, Packer assistant Zeke Bratkowski called for something simpler and easier to execute. However, it's quite possible that Zeke's esoteric instructions were slightly misinterpreted. In all, Green Bay managed only a field goal. Oakland, on the other hand, controlled the scrimmage line, the football, and the game, rushing for 348 yards in an easy 28-3 victory over the Packers. Speaking of easy victories, John McKay's Tampa Bay Buccaneers used to be one, and occasionally they still revert to the form that characterized their first two seasons. Usually it's the Vikings who turn mistakes like this one into victories. Last Sunday, it was Tampa Bay. On this play, Viking return man Kevin Miller, number 87, allegedly let a bouncing ball nick his shoulder. As is football custom, Tampa Bay fell on it. But then somebody in this meeting of the minds realized the ball had been touched. Advancing the ball was not allowed. However, to Tampa Bay's delight and Minnesota's dismay, the Bucs took possession. On the very next play, rookie quarterback Doug Williams made it hurt. Number 85, Morris Owens, scored the eventual winning touchdown. Another great moment in Tampa Bay history. Down in Texas, Sunday was a memorable day for another fine youngster, San Francisco's rookie quarterback Steve DeBerg. Beneath the big top in Houston, DeBerg unloaded for 321 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, including this 58-yard rainbow to Freddie Solomon. Houston's premier youngster likewise made his presence felt. Heisman Trophy winner Earl Campbell, who continued his advance on the NFL's Rookie of the Year award. However, in the end, this game was not decided by youngsters, but rather by veteran place kickers. Houston's Tony Frisch was the fortunate one. His 19-yard field goal with 1:16 left was cause for celebration as the Oilers took a 1-point lead into the stretch. Whether or not his teammates understood his English, Frisch was Houston's hero. But moments later, San Francisco's Ray Wersching had a chance to do him one better. Unfortunately, Wersching's kick sailed wide to the left. Result, the 49ers lost. For Ray Wersching, it probably made for a long plane ride back to the coast. But San Francisco has no exclusive rights on tough defeats. Lately, Jim Hart and the Cardinals also have had trouble winning. But though losers of 6 straight, the Cardinals certainly haven't gotten conservative. Option passes, reverses, and the like are enjoyable, particularly when they work. Last Sunday, the Cardinals' Mel Gray breezed 27 yards on a flanker reverse for a St. Louis touchdown. Unfortunately, the more fundamental exercises in the Cardinals' playbook didn't fare quite as well. Washington, on the other hand, did well with the basics. Joe Theismann threw only a dozen passes, but 2 of them went for touchdowns. Even more successful was the running of fullback John Riggins, who motored through the Cardinals for 108 yards and looked darn good doing it. Riggins and running mate Mike Thomas, number 22, are off to a fine start for Jack Pardy's Redskins. In fact, the Redskins themselves are off to a fine start, if a somewhat surprising one. St. Louis, Philadelphia, and the New York Giants all entertain thoughts of overtaking Washington in the NFC East. And indeed, one or more of these teams still might before the season runs its course. But if Theismann, Riggins, Thomas, and rookie kick return specialist Tony Green, number 34, continue to put points on the board, the Redskins just may make things interesting, even for the Dallas Cowboys. For the moment, at least, they're all alone at the top.